It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the #1 morning show here on SimWorld TV, SimWorld Today. I'm back, as always, with my co-host, Yells. Good morning, man. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. We got some stuff to
Yeah,
talk about
man.
today. What we
We
got?
sure do. We sure do, as always, man. Look, so we've seen a lot of movement this offseason from a lot of different teams. We saw a mass exodus, I guess you can call it that, from Gold Coast Lockdown. And two of the more notable players from that team are now playing in opposite sides of the country. Suno Chapa is now with the Best Coast Ballers out in California, and De'Aaron Cruz is with the Yacht Club in Florida. So this has always been, it was a surprise move to see those two leave that team and go where they are now. But which of those former teammates will stand out more, Chapa or Cruz?
Easy money for me. That's pseudo chopper because he's gonna have a bigger platform to do so. I mean, look, he's going to be out Best Coast Ballers where there's more
Yeah.
opportunity for him. And that's the easy way to say that. De'Aaron Cruz, I'll come to him in a moment. Suno is going to be playing with the likes of DJ Davis, Ali Cortez, Dre Ryder, Arlo Cook, all some great names. But Suno Chapa has established himself in this league already. And most of these kids coming to Best Coast Ballers are new to SimWorld Prep as a whole,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So
exactly. Yeah.
Suno Chopper, not sure exactly where he's ranked. I could pull that info up somewhere here. Let me take a look at my notes here. Yeah, I mean he's a consensus composite ranking of 33 in the country. In the world, excuse me. So yeah, there's nobody else on this team that's ranked as high as him, other than DJ Davis. So he's going to be a focused centerpiece of the Best Coast Ballers. He's going to be a focused centerpiece of their offense, obviously,
Yep.
along with DJ Davis. So he's going to have that opportunity. So when we move over to look at
De'Aaron
this.
Cruz.
Yeah, I'm just getting my notes here. We move over to
Yeah.
De'Aaron
Yeah.
Cruz. He's obviously going to be a focus over there at Yacht Club, but we have seen conflicting things go on, conflicting stories coming out of that camp. You got Xavier Pope, who's there as well, who is a primetime player. But he does not have to have the ball in his hands. But that's one of the reasons he left Bay Area. So how happy is he going to be having that ball taken out of his hands as often as De'Aaron Cruz would have to? De'Aaron Cruz, a ball dominant player. His money's made with the ball in his hands, not coming off of screens, not off ball movement or anything like that. And then you got a couple other guys there. You got Trey Willis, who's still waiting for his opportunity in SimWorld Prep, trying to make a name for the college scouts. Composite rank number 32 in all of SimWorld Prep. And you got some other people coming onto the scene in Koya Monroe. You got Garrett Hart and Tyshawn Eason, who I don't think got a full chance to showcase everything he's able to do. And let's not forget Tamir Johnson, who is a highlight reel at best.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think at points, De'Aaron Cruz may have to take a step back. I think everybody on the Yacht Club team, focal point, centerpiece of the team or not, I think we're going to see different emphasis on offense at different times from Coach Lasher, because that's what we saw last year.
Right.
For Best Coast Ballers, I think it's going to be Suno Chopper, DJ Davis, and more Suno Chopper and DJ Davis day after day. I think it's a consistent approach there. They know what their scheme is. So Suno Chopper's going to go crazy. I'm ready for him to pull out the chopper. Yeah, I'm ready for it, man.
So look, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm on the same page as you. For the reasons you also mentioned, I think that Choppa is going to have. I think Choppa's going to have more of the eyes on him. He's going to be in that leader, mentor as one of the older returning players in the league. I think he's going to be in that kind of role too, which is going to have him. He's going to have guys like Davis and a lot of the new players looking up to him, because it's him and Dre Ryder, the only 17-year-olds on the team. The rest of these kids are 16, 15 years old. So they're all going to be looking up to Choppa and Ryder to be
Yeah.
the leaders and mentors of that team. Whereas if you look at Yacht Club on the other end of things, they are majority 17-year-olds. as opposed to 16 and 17-year-olds. So I mean, in the same respect, they're gonna have a lot of those younger players, Cook, Monroe, McBride, and Rollins as well. You know, those kids are gonna be looking up to them. But there's more pieces there on the yacht club than there are with best coast ballers right now. Because you mentioned Xavier Pope, who I think he's going to be that primary scorer. But like you said, Cruz is gonna be the ball dominant player because he's more likely going to be playing at point guard. So he's gonna have the ball in his hands more times than not. He'll be the one making the offense move and shake.
Yeah.
Champa, we saw what he could do last season with Gulf Coast. We saw both these kids can do at Gulf Coast last season, and both of them have different skill sets, and they shine very well using those skill sets. So it's just a matter of how they can get them to work on the different teams. But Champa's going to have more of the opportunity to shine brighter than Cruz this season, just for that reason alone, for the reason of being being in a spot where you're gonna have more opportunity to do it versus Yacht Club, where you're gonna have to share the rock a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's simple. Like I said, it's simple for me. Suno Chopper's he's gonna have all the opportunity. Him and DJ Davis gonna be a 2-man show. Yacht Club is going to be a hodgepodge gumbo of different things at different times, in my opinion. As
Yeah.
Coach Laster is really gonna have to work to figure out what works for this lineup that he has in the first place.
Right, exactly. Honestly, that has me excited to see how he's gonna manage to figure all that out. I would not want to be him this season. I really would.
I've seen, hey man, I tell you, I got a chance. You know, I'm always in the film. We know who De'Aaron Cruz is. We know about Trey Willis. We started learning about Tamir Johnson. Obviously, we all know about the Pope. Praise. We all know about him. Tyshawn Eason, I'm still waiting for him to break out. There's schools looking at him. Miami and Florida know about his talent. I think it's time that he's seen. I mean, the team is loaded. Garrett Hart is.
Yeah.
Garrett Hart is a talented kid. He's going to be a great player on a collegiate squad. But some of these 15, 16-year-olds, from what I've seen from Darius McBride and Koya Monroe, they are up next. They are absolutely up next. And I don't know how you keep them off of the floor or you marginalize their minutes with the skill at the level that they've been playing at. So, I fully expect to see De'Aaron Cruz say, hey, I'll sit the bench this one while these guys are cooking. I just see it because they're just that good.
Yeah, look, we'll see. We'll see, man. Well, with the season, getting closer. Rivalry talk is already kind of beginning and that kind of stuff. But let's talk about a rivalry that could potentially lose some steam this season. I don't know if you'll agree with me on this one or not, but the Bay Area Breakers and Showtime rivalry that has potential to lose steam because of the players that aren't on teams anymore. Corey Yams no longer with Showtime. He's back in Houston with HM Hoopers this season. I think that as much as the teams involved make rivalries matter, I think especially in basketball, where you can see player faces a lot more than you can in football and that kind of thing, and there's not as many of them. I think that basketball is one of those sports where players more so make those rivalries matter, and you want to watch those players play against each other. With Corey Yams no longer being on Showtime, does that potentially impact the intensity of that Breakers Showtime California Love rivalry that they had there last season?
No doubt. Make no doubt about it. Corey Yams being gone and how fired up he would get going. We all know that him and Trey Hyman are good friends. That's been made public.
Yes.
But they also go at it. They're competitive. They're competitors. They're ferocious. Let's not forget Bronny James being gone too. Don't leave that one out.
No, of course you're right.
But I definitely think that this rivalry has lost some steam because of that. Also, hot take. We're getting started early. Sorry, Blazing Takes. I don't think Bay Area is going to be as good as what they were last year. I don't.
Okay.
Identity is everything. They took some time to find an identity last season, and I think they've had to rebuild. And I'm not sure that they have a clear identity this season. But that being said, you know what makes a really good rivalry when you're in the same region? Winning.
What?
So if both
Yeah.
of these teams come out the gate and get wins, then yeah, it's a rivalry. But if they're both mediocre, middle of the road teams,
Mhm.
Corey Yams or no Corey Yams, Bronny James, no Bronny James, Trey Hyman or no Trey Hyman, and Caden Ship and the others, right?
Yeah.
I think it loses some of the hostility. It loses some of the cachet if both these teams are hovering around 500. Who cares if they don't like each other or not? If you're hovering around 500, y'all need to be liking some wins. So right, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. This Showtime squad, we're going to learn some new personalities on this team. Brendan Romine, I heard he's a pretty nasty defender inside. It could get kind of chippy. I hear he gets really physical. Nick Moss has something to prove.
Yeah.
And Cole Webb's there. Cole
Yeah.
Webb's now that it can be really exciting. But I think the head-to-head matchup of seeing Corey Yams and Trey Hyman is what really got it going. I think the dynamic of these teams are different. So now Cole Webb doesn't necessarily have a perimeter guy to kind of fight through, and that's not really his game. It's more finesse, more give you a bucket from the perimeter than it is. Hey,
Yeah.
take
Right.
some elbows. Like Trey Hyman and Yams would really go at it, and that's
Right.
what's missing now.
Yeah, that's my whole thing, because those two, they were both, big in personality, big on the court in terms of where they played position wise, and then the fact that they were friends.
The
The
physicality.
physicality,
Let's get
yeah,
physical.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
they would get physical out there.
yeah. I don't know if that's gonna be as much of a thing this season, because personally, I don't know who's going to be able to guard Trey Hyman with any sort of success like Corey Yams did on the Showtime team. That's my area of concern looking at things. I think that if Trey, if Bay Area and Trey can, find a way to get him going early against Showtime when they meet up, then that could be a thing where Trey's hot and it's like good luck stopping him, because he can beat you in a multitude of ways. If you double him, we've seen he has the ability to pass out and find over a teammate. So there's a lot of ways he can impact the game. And I think that without Yams being there to counter him, I think that potentially can be a problem for Showtime.
Yeah, as you're saying that though, Brendan Romaine, yeah, really physical kid. I forgot they Showtime picked up Xavier Rubin Matthew too.
Yeah.
Super physical kid. I don't think they're as athletic as Trey Hyman at all. I don't think they're Corey Yams in terms of defense, which means they got to go out there and get it done Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn style, and they got to get
Right.
physical if they're
Yeah.
going to compete. So this
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
could get kind of ugly. If you remember, me and Rick were talking about this the other day. Hey, back in the 90s and those early years, the fun thing that you would see in games is they couldn't defend you. Guess what they could have? They could just invoke the clothesline your ass when you come in the lane rule. And you knew when those players were checking in the game. To be fair, we're questioning Showtime's flair and if they're gonna have that cachet they had last year to be Showtime. But they did bring in a couple of guys that I look at as enforcer types in the future. So that's a whole other layer, man.
Yeah, look, we'll see though. We'll see. There's still time to get that all sorted out. Obviously, games has not started yet, so we really don't know what's gonna happen. But it's fun to talk about, obviously. You know what else is kind of fun to talk about though? Everybody loves a good rumor, a good good tea. So I got some tea for y'all this morning, apparently. So Coach Saj Drayton has apparently been watching other teams' scrimmages. These are rumors. There's nothing been confirmed, that kind of thing yet. Uh, so it's funny because with a lot of the talk going on with Michigan and like stealing signs and that kind of thing, I think it all comes back together, oddly enough, with the situation here, because these scrimmages, to my knowledge, are supposed to be things that, we're not getting access to, or most teams shouldn't have access to other teams' scrimmages. So it's like, how is he getting how's he getting this information? Why is he getting it, and like, is it unfair? There's a lot of things to go on in that. As far as it being unfair, though, I want to touch on that real quick. I don't think it's necessarily unfair in the grand scheme of things, especially if it was just like, hey, we're coaches, we kind of share information with each other, that kind of thing. If it was one of those situations, then like, nah, it's, you willingly gave it out. But if you didn't, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah,
But again, a lot to be said. Don't know yet.
I'm gonna just make sure I clarify. This is all pure speculation. I'm sure the
Yes,
league will
yes,
be looking into
yes.
this, and they'll find out if there's any validity to it or not. It's all hearsay. But I will go on record right there with you and say that I believe. I mean, there's no rule against it.
Yeah,
I don't think
right.
they're sneaking into people's facilities. Like, that's a lot of travel. So I
We're
think
not, we're not
if
the Patriots, man. We're not doing that. Cameras doing
right.
that.
I mean, this is Prep League. Their budgets aren't allowing all that.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone shared some footage with him,
Right.
or
Right. You
the
don't know.
scrimmage tapes. We have no idea. Or maybe it was just a piece of footage, and it's being blown out of proportion by
Right.
whatever
Exactly.
outlet brought that info out. We don't know, but I tell you what, if you can get a competitive edge, you get a competitive edge. Don't cheat. That's not breaking a
Yeah.
rule, so it's
Yeah.
not
Don't
cheating.
cheat.
If you can get a look at something, you get a look. I mean, hey, man, hey, I'm from Houston. And my Astros, if they had a look down the third base line, I'm all for it. I wish we would have had more looks down the third base line this past season. Maybe we'd be in the
As
World
a
Series.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Just real quick, as a former baseball player myself, yes, that's a part of the thing. If you can look at the coach and you see him, patting his head, doing all sorts of things, make signs, whatever, and you see one that's a trigger, you'll go to your team and say, "Hey, when he does this, it means they're gonna do that." It's a part of part of the game. Is it unfair? Personally, no, but that's baseball is different, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's true or if it's untrue. We shall see. Either way it goes, I think he has a competitive squad. So I think people are gonna say what they're gonna say. The rumors are gonna be the rumors. We know he watches a lot of film. Maybe somebody else's film made their way
Right.
into it.
I'm saying, yeah. Yeah,
So,
and even if it is the case, even if it is the case of he got some sure he was like, hey, you want to see mine? Like, sure. I don't think he's one to hide secrets. If that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Either.
yeah.
Either kind of
I
thing.
trust his integrity for sure.
Exactly. Speaking of scrimmages, though, apparently there's been some scrimmage standouts. One of them being from Beyond the Arch. Paul McAdams has been impressing in scrimmages, apparently, from what we've been hearing as well.
Paul
And
McAdams. Yep. Go ahead.
and this is one that I know we talked about a lot before, previously, and he's one of the new kids coming in to join that team, and maybe not and try to replace Tyson Simpson, who those are big shoes to fill, obviously. But look, the kid is 7 feet tall, and as you know, Yells, you can't teach that.
Can't teach that.
He's 7 foot
Bada
tall.
boom, realest guys in the room.
How you doing?
How you doing?
15 years old, he's from Missouri. Like, there's a lot here for this kid, and I am the first to tell you, I like a big guy who can shoot. He's 7 foot. He's 15. If he can shoot from distance, I'm all for it. I want to see that in the game. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I haven't seen the footage myself. What I've been made aware of is that there were Memphis scouts, there were Memphis and Duke scouts trying to get access to the scrimmage, and they were some of them were there. They were actually there to take a look, so that's extremely high praise. Granted, he's touted as 7 feet tall, and he's only 15,
yeah,
but his shooting is what was praised. I don't know if his post footwork is there, if he's just getting down and dirty and giving you classic big man moves, but apparently he does play on the block. He is not a Wemby kind of big man, 7 footer. He's more of a traditional kind of big man, but his shooting touch is phenomenal. So I think that's what scouts are looking at. I think that's
Yeah,
a great piece for Beyond the Arch. And
agreed.
apparently he's been lighting it up in the scrimmages and practices. So yeah, excited to see that from him. All these big 15-year-old kids coming around, man. I didn't hit my growth spurt to hit this height that I hit until I was 15. Yeah, out here 7 feet tall. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Absolutely wild, man. I don't understand how any of it works. Growth spurts are not something that I had to deal with, unfortunately. I've been 5'6" since probably like 10th grade. I don't know, man. It's whatever. But look, we got to get out of here. Thank you all so much for joining us on SimWorld today, this morning. We appreciate you as always. And remember, until tomorrow on Thursday, SimWorld is the only place you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you on Thursday.
This has been a presentation